Look at this thing. Whose idea was it to tie a cloth around your neck? It could strangle ya. That's right. We're talking about last night's episode of The X-Files, entitled Mulder and Scully Meet Kolchak The Night Stalker. Actually, no. Poor old Kolchak wasn't nowhere to be seen in it, despite this guy wearing his clothes and straw hat. It was, of course, called Mulder and Scully Meet the Kiwi. A Kiwi is a New Zealander, and we had the best Kiwi-ish guy man in the episode last night. From Flight of the Conchords, Murray. He's now playing a giant lizard. Oh, spoilers. We're not supposed to know he's a giant lizard until halfway through the episode. Speaking of which, at episode 3, we're already halfway through this whole season. Anyway, last night's episode starts off just like a classic Night Stalker episode, in fact, with a full moon and two hillbillies witness an attack between an animal control officer and a jem'hadar. Oh, that's not a jem'hadar. It's a giant green lizard that can shoot blood out of its red eyes. You may recognize the park ranger / animal control officer as being host of an X-Files podcast. There's an X-Files podcast? I guess it would be like Coast to Coast AM, but more scientifically based in fact. Because Coast to Coast AM isn't. Word gets back about the death in the forest to Mulder, who is feeling discouraged and is questioning his belief in monsters after all these years. I like this new Mulder and Scully. There needs to be more experienced actors on television like this. I'd rather see old Mulder and Scully than the young ones. There's more depth to their characters. And because we've seen them young, it's good to see them older. I'm blatantly stating the obvious. Staking the obvious? I'm stating the obvious. No staking, unfortunately. I'd love some steak for lunch. Mulder, in a very classic Scully-like way, suggests that the assailant might have been a mountain lion or a grey wolf, but soon changes his mind to a red-eyed giant green lizard after chasing a red-eyed giant green lizard through a parking garage. And that's where we first meet Kolchak / the Kiwi / Murray from Flight of the Conchords / Dr. John Watson from the new Sherlock. Anyway, this guy's our assailant. But Mulder doesn't know that yet. He misses his horniness on the back of his neck, not his sexual prowess. Although he does have sex with Scully later on in the episode. Allegedly. Mulder and Scully check into the Bates Motel and find creepy Scooby-Doo-like secret passageways in the walls. But this is an aside note, much more of a B plot. Back to the A plot, Mulder meets up with, I forget what we're calling him, New Zealander, in a cemetery with this gravestone of Kim Manners. Who's Kim Manners? He was an X-Files producer who died of lung cancer. So don't smoke, or you'll end up in an X-Files episode. It's not worth it. I really like the mellowness of Mulder's performance. He doesn't exaggerate the comedy in this, which is vital, otherwise it wouldn't be funny. Sometimes when you tell an actor they're in a comedy, they act like they're from another planet. It's better to just let the writing and even the lighting do its thing. And don't even pretend you're in a comedy. Just act normal. Don't exaggerate it. Like the poor animal control officer, he really hams it up. Although, if he hosts a X-Files podcast, it's probably his favourite show. I'd probably be the same way if I was in a Star Trek Next Generation episode. Yes, sir! Raising the shields now! Beep, beep, beep. Thank you, Ensign. Ensign no-name Aussie. Yeah, why didn't they choose an Aussie for the role? Why do all our good jobs go to Kiwis? I like the dialogue between Mulder and the were-monster. Mulder says, "You're not thinking of doing anything crazy, are you?" And then the were-monster says, "No, I'm just gonna kill ya." In a blatant attempt to try and have suicide by FBI agent with a green glass to the appendix. Did I mention this is a comedy episode? Well, it turns out the were-monster was bitten by a man, and that's why he turned into a man, like a reverse werewolf situation. He then acts in a very humanist way. He gets a job in a smartphone store. He watches porn all day. He lies about having sex with Scully. I'd like to say that all humans aren't like this. I've never worked in a smartphone store. He even gets a dog named Dagoo, but then loses him. Scully finds him at the pet shop, or the animal pound. Or where do they take stray animals? Oh, the Chinese restaurant. Anyway, Scully is then attacked by the serial killer podcast host, and they capture the real killer of all those people in the woods. It wasn't the were-monster at all. He was a good guy, man, slash Kiwi, slash Dr. John H. Watson. Like this moustache I'm experimenting with? I'm going to shave it off as soon as I hit stop on this. Then it all ends with Mulder saying the magic words, "I want to believe," at the very end, shaking the monster's hand and watching him run off prancing into the forest. This was a really, really good episode. Probably my favourite of Season 10. Season 10, wow. Will there be a Season 11? I want to believe. Like I said last review, the X-Files was huge when I was in high school, or junior high, if you call it in America. So this is just like talking to my friends the next day about it in the playground. It's a nice thought that we're friends. I wish I had a straw hat.